is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 61. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud. We call him E, a.k.a. Lee James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew Easy, a.k.a. Eastradamus, a.k.a. Pap E. O'Daniel, a.k.a. The Fashionista, a.k.a. Chili Willie, a.k.a. Eon Stonkel. E, tough night last night at the Q. Long night last night at the Q. I can tell you my hangover from the inebriation last night, that is real. But the emotional hangover, I think, is worse for me this morning. How are you feeling, I guess, afternoon now here on Sunday?
My hangover, definitely real as well. But yeah, I think more emotionally hungover and hurt and dejected than alcohol hangover.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long night for sure. Rough night for sure. But I still did have fun at the game.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't need to say that anymore because it's just a given.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is going to be an interesting one to break down, get into, and try to sift through, what's going on with the squad right now. And I know that we have extended ourselves the kindness of a bit of a grace period to get to this game.
Yep.
To have our full-on evaluation of how we feel about the team right now. Mm-hmm. And that's we might need another extension.
Well, we'll file for that extension right now, and we'll see by the end of the episode if it's granted or not. And you said long night. That is correct. It was just kind of a long day too, though, because for us personally, we got to go out and tailgate, with our buddies Brian and Mike, kind of belated bachelor party type of deal for our buddy our buddy Mike there, and those guys got out there super early, man. They were in the first parking spot, I think, there on the north end of the stadium. Tent, fajitas grilling, all that stuff. Shout out to, I think Eric was the homie on the grill there, and it was great. But yeah, starting that early, that was a different, not necessarily starting that early, but being at the stadium that early, that's a new one for us.
Yeah, we've definitely never been there that long in our entire short Austin FC fanhood. Yeah, the North End Pirates, they do not play games.
No.
They don't fuck around. They were partying since like 4.
Yeah.
Super great to be with them, though, and happy to celebrate Mike for sure.
Yeah. Well, and everybody else, that was out there, Rose and Emily and Grant and Josephine and some new friends that we made too. Jordan was out there, who was a listener to the pod. Met a couple listeners out there in the stadium as well. So that, I think, for us added to the fun that we had last night, despite the result.
Absolutely. And I think that's probably maybe that's the good positivity to go with here. Like right out the gate, this will be a positive thing. Definitely just really appreciate everyone who came up and said something nice. Yeah. We were really walking around the stadium, getting in there. Brian, I think he was in 122 or 120.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
Shout out to him. Great conversation with him about the team. And it just sucked that we didn't get the result that we wanted, but absolutely love all of that. I don't really know if I can put into words how appreciative I am of people listening and being like, hey, what's up, dude?
Yeah, man. No, it's
I'll dap you up, man. You say, hey, what's up to me? You're getting up. When I'm drunk, I'm a hugger. So, yeah, it was good to meet those folks. Fucker rain delayed though.
Yeah, man. Well,
just brutal on the liver, brutal on the wallet, just all around bad. So can't really blame anyone who got out of there.
No, I don't at all. Even if it's a Saturday, I mean, there's even people that we know, like our buddy Wacker was out there, his lovely wife Sarah. They had a sitter.
Yep.
Had to get going at some point. I know they tried their best to wait it out, but as we kept seeing lightning in the area. Yeah. So I also get it if you're just stranded at the stadium and you don't want to throw down on $12 to $18 beers the entire time. And you need some food if you're at the stadium that long.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess back to some positives, we got to sit up in the lofts there in the north end.
It's true.
Which was awesome. A different viewpoint for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You could definitely, it took away some of the struggles you and I sometimes have with the depth perception when the ball's down in the south end. So that was a really cool experience. And shout out to the whole group because we had a tab that was not small and we went through it before the weather delay. So we were having a fun time up there in Loft 7. So I guess we can go ahead and just get into this here. Similar to last weekend after the Houston match, doing everything we can to delay talking about the actual game here. But we'll go ahead and get into it as we always do, right? The lineup came out, and I think you said it was maybe Jeremiah, or if we're getting the source wrong on this, apologies. To me, it sounds honestly like a Tim Thompson tweet, but the lineup you were mentioning before we started recording that I don't think have started a lineup twice so far this season.
Yes,
I think that continued last night as well, because we saw a couple hours before kickoff, went to check the injury report, and Alexander Radovanović was on there listed as questionable, and so
Brian met him last night.
Yeah. So Rado was up he ended up not playing, and we found out why later. But again, I guess we can just say it now. It's not a secret to people. Torn labrum for Radovanović, and I think they said a small fracture in his shoulder as well. Coach Wolff did go on to say that he hoped that they could have him in training this week. So that doesn't add up to me because torn labrum, I think, is 4 to 6 weeks. And that's if you don't get the surgery. If you get a surgery, it's a little bit longer recovery time there. And fractured shoulder blades. So obviously he didn't play. The questionable tag, that's questionable to me. But I guess I if Josh thinks there's some optimism that he can come back soon, great.
Yeah.
But you pointed out as well, maybe the formation shift that we saw here is because we're going to miss him for 4 to 6 weeks, and maybe it's going to be 4 at the back for the foreseeable future. It was 4 at the back last night, at least on defense, 4-4-2. So getting back to some of what we saw last year and at times earlier this season when Josh was, adjusting the formation, trying to figure out, get the team going in the right direction. Stuver in net, Cascante wearing the armband with Ring, Gallagher, and Lima. So you had Lima, of course, on the right side and Gally on the left in terms of the fullbacks. Danny paired with Johan there in the defensive half. And then Diego, Rigoni, Redis, and Arruti up front with Zardes, Driussi, Finley, Jimenez, Bersano, Lundqvist, which shout out to Ari, who I think at this point is the official North End pronunciation czar. She is always hitting me with any new updates she finds on, and she's told me before that her last name, I think she said her name has 5 A's in it. So she gets her own pronunciation. She's had her own pronunciation issues from people trying to say her name. So she's been helping me out, and she was like, "Yeah, you guys have been on the loon part of it, but it's Kvist instead of Lundqvist, right?" And I think the Kvist part is you listen to Hernan or some of the other podcasts. I think they have that down, but we call him Lundy. So do we have to call him Lundy now?
I'm going to keep calling him Lundy.
Okay. But we appreciate Ari and anybody who, helps us improve our knowledge here. So Bruin also on the bench, Sophie Jeffel on the bench, and then Kip Keller on the bench after he was not active on Friday night for FC2. So I guess that should have maybe been telling that the questionable tag was more of a doubtful tag for Rado, given Kip being held out on Friday. What were your takeaways from the lineup when you first saw it?
I was confused.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that we were going to be switching there. I think you pointed it out to me because I was trying to like figure out how it was going to work. And I was like, oh, we pushing Diego to a wingback position? Like what's going on here? So yeah, I think the Rado thing once again threw our plans out the window because I do think that we would have been in our main 3 back, although you did point out throughout the course of the game when we were attacking, that's how it kind of looked. And this formation, it hurt Johnny. No, like he was non-existent.
True.
Last night.
Yeah, he didn't have a great match.
So I feel like his toughest match. I don't know if that was a direct result of having to switch back to this formation and the different responsibilities that he has.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, Maxey up top. Was wondering when we were going to get G a break, and then I was wondering when the hell we could get G back in.
Yeah.
So yeah, but again, a lineup that is superior to an RSL club, a lineup that is
rotated RSL.
Yep. A lineup that's good enough to go get 3 points at home, and they didn't perform. They did not perform. And I know Coach is going to get the brunt of the heat
you don't say.
from everywhere. But those players did not show up. And it just looked really nice to be getting Diego into more, back into his regular self. And then he comes out last night and does that.
Yeah.
And I was baffled. And the thing with Rigoni as well, the regression, it's been really bad these last couple of matches, and no one stepped up. And then still, obviously we'll get into it at the minutes. You still have chances to at least get a point in this game.
Yeah, no question. I guess in terms before we move on, I thought on the rewatch, I am happier with Diego's performance and especially Rigoni's. Happier, not satisfied, but they played better than what my eye test saw last night in the stadium. And, I think I'll blame some of that on being at Q2 for like 6.5 hours. And, not saying I wasn't seeing straight, but not seeing everything going on around me. So again, came out 4-4-2 look when we were defending. And then when we had the ball, it did look more like a 3-2-4-1 was my best guess on that there, or interpretation of what we were doing offensively in terms of the formation. So getting into it here, 3rd minute, Austin wins a throw on the left side of the Salt Lake 18, so near side broadcast camera. Gallagher takes it and puts it on Julio, and that's one thing that Johnny and Nick did great in this game with their long throws, is putting it right into the group where Julio is. That type of set long throw that we do does not work as well, as we know, unless you have 2 of those true center backs, the bigger, the Julios, the Leos, the Rados, the Kip Kellers, right? Yep. You need those big bodies in that spot, 2 of them, to really be as effective as we want to be at those. But I thought both of those guys, the fullbacks last night, did a great job with their throws and giving Julio a chance to create that second opportunity, that second ball for the other guys to get onto. In this case, at the beginning of the game, Justin Glad's ready for it. He heads it out for a corner. Diego takes it quickly to Emmy, and Emmy puts in a good ball to the back post with his right foot from that left side. But that ball falls in between Johan and I think Julio on the very backside there, goes out for a goal kick. But good service from Emmy right there. And Johan, I thought, was aggressive in these spots last night while he was on the pitch. But we also saw, and we see it on a play later, the deficiencies of him in the offensive half, especially in the box there.
Yeah.
Not the best in the air, not the best. He's not the best offensive player that we have.
For sure.
Leave it there.
Remember remember months and months ago when we were discussing the Julio injury and being like, are we seriously like banking on this, center back coming back and creating a lot of opportunities for us? And holy shit, like, it's a real thing. Like you said, those throws, they're looking for him. And, the game doesn't really start till Julio gets talked to by the ref, and he's in there scrumming it up as always. You love to see it. So I do want to also highlight that was nice to see as well. Yeah,
good call. I mean, I will always trumpet the Julio goals added metric from last year, where he was the number one defender or center back in MLS in terms of goals added. 5th minute here, RSL turns it over in their own half, starts a 5-on-4 break for Austin with Diego on the ball. And this is, I think we were standing in the loft at this point regardless. But we, perk up coming towards us in the north end. Diego's got Danny on his left, Maxi, Emmy, and Rodney to his right. He ends up touching it onto Danny on the left side, and this pass is way soft. Bad pass. I don't think I can sugarcoat it. And we had some folks that we were talking to out at the tailgate, and then in the loft who had some jelly beans down on Danny anytime goal, and oh man, were we a little salty after that, because we were cheering for him, of course.
Bro, I think that's why I made that initial comment about Diego's, because that one was just inexcusable. It can't happen. Obviously there's a trillion other plays that take place in this game, but the entire course of this game is affected by how bad that pass was.
Yep.
Because it's 1-0. He's walking it. He's dumping that. It's a goal.
You would think, yeah. It would be one of the clearest chances that Danny's had in 3 years.
Absolutely. And I mean, the class of Danny, I would take that every single time. So that was just,
it was frustrating. And I mean, it's still a reminder that Diego is not back into the 2022 form, because 2022 Diego, that's money. He ain't missing that pass.
Yep.
So I think still good things, especially time-wise with Diego this past week, how much he was able to get out there on the field, 2 starts, working his way hopefully to full fitness, hopefully by this coming Saturday. I also thought, like, on the rewatch, watched it a couple times, this play, maybe he had a window to get it to Maxi. I still think Danny was very much the right pass, but Maxi, of course, he certainly thought that he was the look there, and throws his arms out as he does. 7th minute, Hidalgo gets a yellow card for RSL for a foul on Valencia. Thought it was an easy call, obvious yellow there. Yeah. And even Kobe Jones on the broadcast last night with our boy Adrian Healy, Kobe Jones was like, there might be more in that than just a yellow, with the way he recklessly slid off after that ball he lost control of. But Hidalgo, yellow card there. And then 9th minute, nifty little touch from Rodney out to Nick Lima on the right side after some Austin buildup. And Nick whips in a ball to the back post. Can't quite get it over Hidalgo, who had just picked up the caution. Because if he had, you had Diego and Johnny on that left side ready to tap it in. So, Nick's been really good lately. And contributing in the offensive half is not something that he's known for, I think, over his tenure with the team. But if he continues that, we're going to be in a good spot with him, and we're going to see a lot more of him going forward.
Yeah.
Well, some of these guys, we got no choice at this point. 15th minute here, Salt Lake on the build-up sees Justin Glad change it from right to left, and then Jasper Laffelsen fires in a cross, and Rubin heads it home over Alex Ring. Defensive breakdown back there, and Josh said it in the press conference. That is essentially a practice drill in terms of matching up there, and the 3 on the back line did not get it right. I think Julio was pulled out a little bit to the far side of the broadcast camera, and then Alex doesn't fully commit to Rubin there, and Johnny G's not really backing him up 100%, behind him. So, something I'm sure that they will probably start practice or the live portion of practice with a drill like that. Just make sure we're getting back on the same page there. But you don't like to see that as a fan, as a player or a coach. Like, again, that is a defensive breakdown that I think is on the back line there.
Yeah, I mean, gotta clean that up, and it's been happening. To us, and I mean, all the credit in the world is due to these guys in the back line who have been battling it out, playing heavy minutes, doing all they can to help this team. But yeah, if we want to get to where we want to be, these things need to be cleaned up. You got to clean them up. And I don't know if it's a miscommunication thing, because like you said, it's a simple play. Find your mark.
Yeah.
Like talk to your help side defender. Let them know. So I don't know what happened there, but just a bad breakdown. And then you give a dude like that a chance like that, he's usually going to make them.
Well, and kind of a revenge spot for Rubin, because you remember he's the one that got thrown out of the playoff game and really opened the door for Austin to come back and win that first round matchup. And I don't think he has scored in like forever. So for him not to just get one, but get the brace later. Not great. And look, if you have another true center back in there, he probably gets ahead to that. At least Rado's getting to that. Yeah. Leo's probably getting to that as well. So
we're small.
Yeah.
We're small.
Absolutely. And I mean, imagine if Rubin's not Jeremy Mbobasi. Like, if you have a true big striker in there, there's just no shot. You gotta you can't get lost before the ball's put in there.
Absolutely. Gotta make some body contacts, physicality, tough one. Just inexcusable, really.
Yep. And I believe this continued the trend this season of Austin not being able to come back after conceding first. I don't believe we have won a game after conceding first. I think we have one draw. San Jose. San Jose scored first, I think.
Portland?
Oh, and Portland. Good call.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got so used to just being the comeback kids last year, and you said it all last year. This is not sustainable, and like it was for a long time. Yeah. I think this year is when you see, now it's catching up with us. 17th minute here, Maxi wins a free kick, 6-7 yards outside the 18. Diego and Emmy line up over it. Rigoni fakes at it, and Diego shoots. Gavin Beavers, who I think is 18 or 19, the backup keeper for RSL that we talked about, was probably going to get the start again. Good save for him to get it out for a corner. I thought he was fantastic on the night. But again, like, I thought there was some maybe I'm giving him too much credit here, but I thought there was some awareness by Beavers on this save to parry it out for a corner. Because some of the keepers will just hit it straight back out and try to clear it that way. There were 3 Austin players waiting to clean it up if he did not get that out to the side. So yeah, I just, a lot of respect for that kid after last night, man. He was under pressure, especially in the second half, and did a good job.
I mean, you got to really just tip your hat to him. He played a great game outside of Rubin. He was the man of the match for them.
Yeah.
He had huge saves.
Yep.
Huge.
Yeah. So the ensuing corner there really produces nothing, but Austin stays in possession, and they end up working it back for another corner. So then on the second corner, Rigoni swings it in, and this is one skips off Valencia's head. And I said he's not the most skilled guy in the air. And then Julio went down as well on this play. Looked like they ended up checking him for a concussion, and he came back on. But man, if that's almost anybody but Valencia, I think it's maybe it's not a goal, but it's at least put on frame. It's just tough attempt there by Johan.
What do you make of these short corners you've been doing lately?
I don't hate it. I mean, I feel like we've gotten good chances off of it, whether it's like you have. And I know last game in the first half, we were frustrated with a couple of them because we didn't produce anything. But I think if you go back the last few matches, since Diego came back, And came back playing, 30 plus minutes, not the games where he was in for 5. Having that option between 7 and 14 out there with the short corner and those guys being able to combine, and those guys both able to provide good service with pretty much either foot. Obviously Rigoni, a little bit more ambidextrous there than Diego, I think. But we've also shown the propensity to kind of swing it back towards the top of the box to a Nick Lima or to a Danny Pereira. And I think we've got good service that way as well. Kind of, having that set play where it's, we're not coming off that first ball, whether the corner is being swung in or those guys in the short corner. But swinging it to the top of the box and kind of getting a different angle and trying to destabilize the opponent's back line there of their set piece defense. I'm not opposed to that being kind of a key part of what we're doing on corners because right now, because we don't have the big bodies. We had that breath of fresh air for like 2 fucking weeks. And now we're back to maybe even on the back line. Is it worse? It's worse now than it's ever been, right? Like with
size-wise or injury-wise?
Both. Because now Rado and Leo are out. Like, we didn't have Rado at the beginning when Julio first went down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. What are your thoughts on the short corners?
I don't know if I have a opinion on it right now. Okay. It's just that we did it so frequently in the last 2 games that it just kind of like caught me off guard. But with what you said right there, I think that makes sense to me. And I could see a coach or, someone being like, yeah, we need to destabilize them a little bit, make them try to, maybe have a miscommunication, miss their mark. So I'm on board with that. I don't hate it.
Right. Well, what would you call that? That's like an adjustment, right? 32nd minute, Valencia wins the ball back in the RSL half, slides it onto Danny, who kind of produces, again, like we see at least once a match, just individual brilliance here, dances. And I don't know if I could have a better word, dances through 3 RSL defenders. I think it was Laffelsen that ended up taking him down right on the edge of the 18. I mean, it's a foot outside of the penalty area. Diego and Emmy line up over this one again. This time, Rigoni takes it with the left, and then Justin Glad jumps and heads it down. He was the left part of the wall there. Emmy really aiming to bend it around the wall and inside that left post. Beavers on the replay. Beavers may have actually gotten there and made a fantastic save, but if Glad doesn't get his head to that, it had a chance to go in. So again, I think having those 2 guys line up over these free kicks is, again, we're more threatening there now than we were without 14 in there. So didn't convert last night, but again, I thought we produced 2 good shots from those 2 guys.
Agree.
Ensuing corner hits a ring in the chest. RSL ends up going out on the counter, which they didn't score, but there was some kind of weak calls for a penalty there. A foul on, I think, committed on Johan is what I don't know. There wasn't much in it, so I wasn't really complaining at the time or on the rewatch. 34th minute, Glad picks up a yellow card for pulling down Maxi. Thought it was deserved. 38th minute, Austin picks up an RSL turnover and goes on the counter. Gallagher swings it from left to right to Redis, and Redis crosses it in. Rigoni tries this no-look flick, and it's actually awesome and forces a really tough save by Gavin Beavers, who, again, fuck, man, can this young kid just screw up once and let us have a little bit? Again, that kid was awesome.
He was. We didn't get a chance to get into his head.
Yeah, true.
The loss is on us. If anyone wants to be upset,
North End out.
Blame it on us. If we had been down there in the section,
we had so much material.
Giving it to someone with the last name of Beavers, giving them the business.
2 minutes later, 2-hour rain delay or somewhere thereabouts. The rain delay activities, again, were fun. We made the most of it.
I don't remember anything.
You remember some. You were telling me about some of it earlier.
Rain delay.
we went down to the beer hall, right? We saw Whacker, Sarah, Kat, and Jay down there. That was great. Beer hall was at capacity, I think, which one of the benefits of the lofts, you can just get right down in there, no line. And so then after, I don't know, half hour, maybe more in the beer hall, I convinced you or kind of just said, hey, we're going. I'm hungry. Went out to the concourse, kind of walked around. Still raining pretty hard. But yeah, again, got to see some buddies there, some of old teammates and then players from St. Edward. So it was good to see, Frankie and Sean and Steve and all those guys. We met what was his name from 122? Brian down there. I'll tell you what, man, there are a lot of Brians in our Verde fanverse. There are, but I don't think there's more of any name than Logans. Logans are everywhere. There was another Logan up in the loft. Yeah. Like I'm telling you, they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Logan's taking over.
Yeah. So yeah, rain, guys come back out, start warming up. We head back up to the loft with some food. 43rd minute after the restart, Rigoni yellow card for taking out Oviedo, who I thought was not going to play. He did, and Oviedo made an impact.
Yep.
Then we go to halftime, mutually agreed upon, shortened halftime. Both teams stay out on the pitch. 10-minute break there. Driussi comes in for Rodney Redis at the half, so love to see that. We know he looked great. In Wednesday's match, 49th minute, RSL turns it over, and Danny, amazing through ball for Diego on the run. But Diego ends up kind of 1-on-3, and he slows it down, then slides it onto Driussi. And you can see Seba on the replay. He's kind of jogging behind the play, watching Diego go, and then he sees him slow up, and he takes off down Diego's left. Diego slides it onto him, and then Driussi's shot deflected out for a corner. He could have one-timed it, but I don't think there's much more Seba could have done in that scenario to put it home. But we've got some other chances coming up. That shot was blocked out for a corner. Diego takes it, and Ring's header ends up hitting the side netting.
Yep.
And we actually saw that from the concourse, because I convinced you right after the half, let's go to the south end.
Yes.
Look at the space down there.
Yeah.
Come on. We got nothing to lose. Let's go down there. Let's join the people.
Yeah.
So north end goes to the south end, and that was a fucking blast despite the result.
Awesome. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Yes, it was hell fun.
I got to tell you, man, I missed this in the heat of the game. 56th minute, Andres Gomez came in for Yakusin, I think his name was. But you remember Andres Gomez from the first game, right? And I definitely remember him now after the rewatch, because he came on just full of energy. That kid's good, man.
Yep,
that kid's real
tough.
57th minute, Johan plays a great long ball to Rigoni, and coming towards us in the south end last night, I thought the ball gets away from him a little bit, but watching it again, the touch by Rigoni to put it into the space going towards goal, I thought was actually really good. But I thought it was just better defense from Oviedo to get in front of him and kind of box him out there. And Emmy forces Oviedo to kick it out for a throw. But yeah, great pass by Valencia. I thought good touch by Emmy. And just sometimes you got to credit the defense. That ensuing long throw sees Lima hit it right on Julio again. His headed effort kind of deflects off Justin Glad. Some guys called for a handball. Don't think it was. But it doesn't matter, because Seba's right there. Point blank. Can't get it past Gavin Beavers. That is, again, like we talk about 2022, Diego hitting some of the passes that he's missed over the last few games. 2022, Seba buries that 10 times out of 10. I cannot believe he did not finish that.
Yep. I also can't believe it. A loss of words, really.
Yeah.
1,000 times.
Yeah.
1,000 times makes it 999.
Yep. And it's really interesting on any site. MLS, FOP Mob, FB Ref. That shot is not registered to Driussi. It's registered to Julio. I don't know what the fuck is going on there, but that is one of the biggest stat keeping errors I have seen in a while.
That is wild.
62nd minute, Maxey gets a yellow card for dissent after the near side linesman on the broadcast angle misses a couple calls. I mean, he was not good, and that was actually not even his worst missed call on the night.
Yeah, no, he had some issues.
Well, and again, I thought Tori Penso and the whole crew had a tough night, but I also, similar to what we've said over the last couple games where we haven't been fans of the officiating crew, they didn't change the outcome last night.
No.
And to be honest, I was a little frustrated to see Danny go right to his phone in the locker room and retweet somebody talking shit about the refs and how bad they were. It's like, come on, man. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But we can't lean on that. We can't.
He's frustrated.
Yeah.
He's frustrated.
He's an emotional cat. We know that.
He puts it all on the line, baby.
Well, and I guess also, maybe not fair of me to say that because I wasn't the one getting the shit beat out of me for the second straight game in a row and not getting the respect of the officials. So I take that back.
Okay.
I take that back. Yeah.
Rescinded.
Let
the record show
he's fine to do that.
Nothing.
Look, I would have probably done some more ridiculous shit if I was in his position. So credit.
And look, we said it before. It's looking like that's probably on the scouting report now.
Yep.
You got to be physical with him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and God, he's so fucking good.
Yeah, he is. He is. 63rd minute, Loffelson, booming shot from like 10 yards outside the box. Stuver kind of just bops it away with two hands. And then on the rebound, Galley is kind of chasing after the rebound with Andres Gomez and tugs him down. I thought it was it's kind of a tough yellow, like compared to some of the jostling that was going on. But again, I thought Penso was, even if we don't think she had the best night, the crew as a whole had the best night.
She was fine.
It was consistently bad. So there was consistency there.
Yeah.
At that ensuing free kick sees kind of more Stuver heroics. Actually don't think he was great on the punch attempt. Wasn't able to clear it very far at all. But Brian Vera was kind of near the spot and tried to half volley it in, and Stuver did have a nice save there. So, I thought he played well again, but outshined by the young keeper on the other side. See some subs here after Loffelson picks up a yellow card for taking out Maxey. Sophie comes in for Johan, and Ethan Finley comes in for Diego. And 4 minutes later, you see a double change for RSL with Masovsky and Anili coming in for Loffelson and Anderson Julio. The next minute, 73rd, Julio Cascante draws a foul on the left side of the 18, about 3 yards out, maybe a little higher than that 18-yard line. That Rigoni free kick finds Cascante, but RSL heads it out for a corner, and then that ensuing corner sees nothing because a foul was called on Alex Ring for being a little physical there. 78th minute, Alex Ring back in the mix, plays a great long ball right from the half line to Ethan Finley in behind. And Finley misjudged the bounce, and it goes out for a goal kick. And that was – I thought Finley he didn't have a bad outing. He had a tough outing because I think that was probably the play, I would say. If I'm going to say his worst play on the night, for lack of a better term, was probably that letting that ball get away from him. But some finishing later on that he typically, puts home.
Yeah.
80th minute here. I think I'm screaming in your ear. I don't know if you can hear, if it was your good ear or not. You might not have any good ears left after standing in the middle of La Murga last night without ear protection. I'm screaming for Zardes. Just, can we get this man in?
Yeah.
Can't. Full off night for Driussi, and I get it. Bruin comes in for Maxey here in the 80th minute, and then Lundqvist and in for Nick Lima. So keep working on that. 82nd minute. Rubin starts a break off the restart, from the subs. Stuver saves that first shot, but RSL stays on the ball with Andres Gomez, and he whips it across from the right all the way to the back post on the left side there to Mikael Chang. Chang redirects right to Rubin in the middle of the box for the second goal. Eerily similar there from Chang to Rubin to that second goal from Shaqiri to Shabilko in the Open Cup game. Just time, poise, under control from Chang there, and miscommunication, kind of like you said earlier on the first goal, is it seems like guys are tired, they're out of breath, and the communication wasn't there on, Sophie's a little bit late trying to close down on Rubin. Alex Ring's sitting a little bit deep. Neither guy gets in the passing lane, and then it's 2-0, and then you see if some of the fans who stuck it out that long, I don't know why you would leave if you stuck it out that long at that point, but more folks headed for the exits. And we are just, dejected.
Oh, yeah. Because there was so many chances for us in that second half. You thought we could knot this up and then just kick right in the dick.
Mm-hmm. Good way to put it. 83rd minute, Krylak and Brody come on for Rubin and Chang. And being able to bring Damir Krylak and Brody off the bench, just kind of highlights again why this should have been a win.
Yep.
I don't really care who we start. That team was worse than us on paper. They were better than us on the pitch last night, though. Krylak right in pulls Danny back. No card.
No.
That was inconsistent for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But then a quick restart from Alex Ring. Again, all the urgency in the world at this point. Long ball from Ring to Rigoni on the quick restart. Then Rigoni's cross is deflected out for a corner. That corner ends up seeing nothing but an RSL clearance. 3 minutes later, head official misses a foul on Masovsky, I thought, taking out Galley from behind. That gives the ball back to RSL. On that break, Vera's got the ball, and there's some hand fighting. There's contact between he and Danny. But Vera swings his arm back and hits Danny in the face. I'm pretty sure we've seen red cards given out for a foul like that in the past. I'm not advocating for a red to be given here, but the fact that there was no foul, and not even no yellow, no foul, nothing, no review. That's a swing.
Yeah.
Not a punch. You know what he's going back with intent to get him off him. You connect with the face. It's a fucking card.
It's a fucking card, man. That's the letter of the law.
Man, the guys did not give up as futile as it felt. 90th minute, a ball from Rigoni bounces all the way through the box to an open Finley, and this is where I was saying, like, this is offside anyway, so it wouldn't have counted, but he skies it. Yeah. And that Finley, Ethan has finished much tougher chances than that. So again, it's just kind of an off night. It's okay for guys to have an off night, but when you have it as a collective unit, you're going to lose to worse teams, and obviously not the first time we've seen Austin do that, but it's how it happens.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it happens. Miscommunications, breakdowns defensively, not crisp, not where we're supposed to be, one step late, an accumulation of tired legs, different lineups, different types of chemistry with different types of players. Maybe you still got you got to perform.
Yeah.
We just did not perform. Nobody performed to the level that they're capable of playing last night.
Stoppage time here is a busy 3 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say they made it interesting. They made it exciting. 91st or first minute of stoppage. Danny again just working his way through that RSL midfield. Very, very patient here. I know that I heard some fans on the spaces went back and listened this morning. Some fans frustrated with what they perceived as a passive approach here, but it created a chance. All right, he found Seba at the top of the box. Seba touched it on to Sophie, who swung it quickly to Finley on the right, and Finley puts in a cross that goes right to Driussi. Point blank range again, and he misses.
Yep. He sure did. That's twice that's been my response.
Yeah, hey, there's not much else. I mean, when the guy who we count on to score those every single time is not doing it, and it's multiple times in a match, it can leave you speechless as a fan. Because what else? I mean, the guys were in, especially Driussi, in places to be successful where we've seen him change games, not even going back to last year, going back to last Wednesday.
Yeah.
Changing a game from a similar type play and just not able to put it home. Second minute of stoppage time, though, Rigoni, who, again, on the rewatch, I think he has been bad lately. He has been ineffective. But in this game, got the full 90, did not quit, and his efforts were, for lack of a better term, rewarded here. Wins that corner, ensuing corner. He swings it in, finds Julio's head. Julio puts it in the back of the net. So we've got about 90 seconds left here, maybe less, but 2-1. And so, again, Rigoni will take that for the best ball team assist. But, again, like trying to stay just within the goalposts of the team here and real life, not fantasy. I thought it boosts his stats, right? It boosts his rating on all of the analytical sites. But I think even before that, he was probably going to come in after rewatching the game. He was probably going to come in with a higher rating for what it's worth than your Rodneys, your Diegos, your Maxis on the night.
Sure.
So I think it was a step in the right direction for Rigoni to get back to that form that we saw about a month ago. But he's got to get back there and then sustain that. And I think the schedule coming up will help him and, of course, the team as a whole to be fresher. And you're going to start running out of excuses here pretty soon, in terms of the fatigue.
Correct.
Then the last minute of stoppage time, Austin kind of gets it back immediately. And then Finley wins a corner right away. Rigoni takes it. I mean, everything is put. Stuver's up in the box here. And fucking Finley finds Ethan, and he flicks it on net. Beavers spills it for a second too. Doesn't catch it cleanly. But I thought the reaction for the save was, again, top notch by that kid. Just kind of, and he could have folded in that moment too. Just gave one up. You're in another tough situation, and he makes the stop. So again, I'm sure Rubin probably got man of the match, but for me, it was Gavin Beavers.
He was great.
57% Austin possession, 15 shots each, but 6-5 on target in favor of RSL. 13 of Austin's 15 shots were inside the box, and 12 corners to 1 in favor of Austin. You look at that XG, FOTMob's model, 2.02 for Austin, 0.8 for RSL. And I agree with it. Like, that's how it felt. We had many more chances. We were the more threatening team, as we should have been, but you can't finish, and G is the stat that matters. So, and did see on Twitter this morning, I kind of made the point to some folks who were discussing how we were fortunate to win on Wednesday. That's very, very fair. I mean, we gave up over 3 XG on Wednesday and won the game 2-1. But if we're going to say we were, lucky to win on Wednesday, then we were unlucky to win last night.
Unlucky to lose.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I agree.
And I came in that confident. I came in, etched into my brain that we should have won last night.
So did I, for sure. And at the end of the day, like we've said it, people know it. It's understand. Like, it's a fickle game. Sometimes these shots go in. Sometimes they don't. And the ultimate thing right now is that we just dropped another potential 3 points at home to a club that we are better than. We have done that several times now. At the end of the schedule, when everything is all wrapped up for this 2023 season, nobody's going to be like, well, yeah, they were super hurt. Like, let's give them a few extra points. It is what it is right now. So we're in the mud, and that's why I think – personally, I don't know if I was too harsh on Diego to start or Rigoni, but these are the games that those dudes got to go win for us. Yeah. When shit's not going right and, like, Seba's got to go win it for us, like the rain delay, it's a weird game. It's a weird game for both sides. Both clubs had to deal with it. So it's not an excuse. So that's when, especially and particularly in this match, you have superior players on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be better. You got to be better than the other guys you're playing. So frustrating, dejecting loss, because it really just felt like, hey, we just turned the corner and we're about to put the pedal down.
Yeah.
In here. So tough. Got to bounce back. Just left a lot to be wanted from that game, or desired. I don't know if I'm saying that properly there.
Yeah, a lot to be desired.
Yes. Okay.
Well, that ends the stretch of 9 games in 28 days. Austin FC will now have a full week until their next match, and just 3 matches left in June. It's June 4th. So again, the fatigue factor is now, for me, out the window.
Yep.
Even when, our second and third game out of that the 3 remaining, I think, is a Wednesday home Houston, Saturday home Dallas. I don't think I'm going to have much sympathy for the guys then, because they're going to have an 11-day break coming into that. So we'll see. But we are going to lose, obviously, some guys to international games during that 11-day break. So we'll see. We'll deal with that when it comes. Still, and again, if you're looking for positives, man, looking across the league, this isn't as sexy as it was with the smaller grouping of teams a couple days ago, but one of 7 MLS teams right now to get at least 9 points from their last 5 league matches.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take that.
Absolutely. All the teams went through that brutal stretch.
Yeah.
We were dealing with different types of injuries and scenarios, but the schedule was packed for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So there is something to be found there for sure. And again, leave something to be desired, because it probably should have been 12.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where I think, and clearly you and I were overconfident going in there yesterday. Because I was all but certain we're getting this done today, especially when we saw their fucking lineup they rolled out.
Yeah. That team gives up, you look at our XG from this game, they are one of the teams that give up a shitload of chances and a shitload of goals. And that's another reason why you got to go win this game.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. I mean, the players know, man. The coaches know.
Yeah.
We saw, because we, obviously, especially if we're in the South End, we're going to stay to sing, and we're going to stay and pick up the trash around us and all that stuff. And as we're walking out on the East Concourse, we kind of see, there's like a little players meeting going on at midfield. And so again, these guys know that it was bad. And to me, that's like, we know we were bad tonight, players. But certainly the fan base as a whole doesn't go there. Of course, it's Josh Wolff's fault. And man, I don't know. I know Fudgy was wanting us to go on another Josh Wolff in rant today. I'm not going to do that. You can go back and listen to it. My stance has not changed.
Yeah.
The truth is always somewhere in the middle. A win is never always going to be because of Josh Wolff, and a loss is always also never going to be because of Josh Wolff. The truth is somewhere in the middle, and we saw a lot of adjustments last night, whether it was using all 5 subs, changing up that substitution pattern, the rotation in the lineup, the different formations. If people can't see that and they just want to run to that, there are people on these Twitter spaces who very clearly get off on the team losing so they can go and do their tired ass fucking spiel about Josh Wolff, and not one of them offers a suggestion on what he should be doing differently. There's we cross too much and we do this and that. It's like, okay, so what would you have us do? Nobody offers that shit up.
Don't worry, Fudge. We'll have plenty more chances.
Just wait till the next time.
Wait till we lose again, baby. It's like Eeyore's birthday. They just come out of the woods.
Shout out our buddy P. Michael Hayes came up and set it up in the North End. Shout out to Paul from the Verde Pendant. He was there, man, blasting that good trumpet in our ears last night. Lucky enough to end up standing right in front of Paul, and it was awesome to meet him. We're definitely fans of what he and, again, Logan are doing at the Verde Pendant podcast. So that was great.
And Ivan.
Yes, yeah.
Hope you had a great time, brother.
Which, obviously he knows. No, but we didn't make the fucking connection on the Wednesday episode. We actually know Ivan already. He sits frequently in the North End. We know who he is. So as soon as we got done with the episode, we looked at his Twitter and we're like, oh shit, of course.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Couple other stats here. Adrian Healy pointed out on the broadcast, and I didn't know this. Austin has never strung together 3 consecutive home wins. Last night was a chance to do it. Couldn't get it done.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just looking back, even with the success of last year, this team is still not good enough at home for what it should be. And I'm not saying that from the selfish fan perspective as hey, we come out there and cheer for you guys, so you owe us this and that. No. But a team that wants to be good, should be good in this league, you have to be better at home because it's so damn hard to win on the road, no matter who you are.
Facts. And our environment, I think this will become more of a factor too going forward, and it should help us. It's going to get hotter.
Yep, true.
It's going to be hotter, and that is an advantage for us when these teams come down. You hear Johnny G talking about it, and I can't remember which. I've consumed so much Austin FC content at this point; it's just a fucking blur.
Yeah.
But he's sitting there in the locker room, and he's like, "They're dying. The heat, it's getting to them." So we're getting there.
Yeah. But that was, I think, during halftime of the midweek match, right, against Minnesota.
Yes.
That's
what that was from. So, I mean. Again, even when we won our last game, we said there's things we got to clean up because they come back to bite you in the ass. And sometimes you don't get that Seba Savior goal to cover everything up because nothing does it better than winning.
Yeah.
To cover shit up. Nothing does it better than that. So,
for sure.
I don't know how many times I can say I'm fucking sad.
Well, there would be no better time than the present to get a 3-game home win streak. There are only 3 home matches left between now and the start of Leagues Cup on July 21st. Those 3 teams, Dallas, Houston, Sporting KC. So, 3 winnable games. Obviously, Dallas, the toughest one on paper there. I think I flipped those around earlier when I was talking about the 2 Copa Tejas matches coming up. It is Dallas on Wednesday, Houston on Saturday, the 24th. So looking forward to those games for sure. But we will not rush it. We'll take all of these off days, this kind of rest period here for the team, try to get right. A couple other things here. Looking at the standings, only 5 of the 14 Western Conference teams have a positive goal differential. Just thought that, I don't know what it means. Just found it interesting. And we are still just 4 points out of the 4th seed out west. We're also 2 points away from being the 12th seed, so that's important context. Yes. Everything still jumbled up. But just the missed opportunity last night with the other results. I mean, Houston loses. Dallas loses. Minnesota draw. Whitecaps draw. San Jose draw. I mean, fuck, man, you win last night. We're sitting in 6th today. Missed opportunities. We've had a couple of those the last few weeks.
They come back to get you. You might not have to pay for them now. You pay for them later for sure.
Do you think that the Radovanović injury could potentially affect Austin FC picking up or buying his contract or not?
No.
Okay. I'm with you. If there was a surgery, I think that's what could affect it. Just from my, plain Google doctor.
Yeah.
I think surgery on your torn labrum is like 3 to 5 months. In which case I would think about it. Because if you're missing him that long, we just might have better use for that spot and that cash to get a different center back. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think worst case scenario here.
I mean, he played through it. He was a Q tag, and we're doing New England Patriots injury report shit. If we had him, we are in that classification now. It might not be as bad, but we're tagging dudes all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah, we're not tagging him at all.
Yeah,
Driussi, not on the injury report, but really he's out for a month.
And then, so I mean, I don't know how soon he's back. But shit, I because we did change the formation, so maybe there's even more credence to what you're saying there. Because,
well, that's what you brought up before we went live. You were like, if maybe we changed, maybe Josh went back to that 4-4-2 defensively because that's what we're gonna have to run. Because if he is out 4 to 6 weeks with the torn labrum, it's either I think we will see Kip at some point during that stretch if he's really out that long. Most likely as a reserve, again, because we don't have this crazy schedule going forward. But yeah, we're in a tough spot. We need that update, and we probably won't get that update on Rado until, Thursday, Friday, something like that. So fingers crossed, knocking on wood, doing all that shit until then. Another thing that I wanted to touch on here was the kind of the number that Brad on Twitter, and I apologize, but I don't remember Brad. I think Brad's last name is Tillery. Sorry, Brad, if I get that wrong. But we've seen Brad on Twitter Spaces, of course, on Twitter, all across a bunch of mediums, right? E? And I think he seems to have a pretty good head on his shoulders, especially when it comes to soccer. So one thing I've seen him kind of trumpeting across his social medias over the last few weeks is the larger sample size of Austin FC's results across all competitions since that LAFC home win. There has been 30 games across all competitions since then. Got only 30 goals to show for it. So I kind of wanted to dig in, I guess, a little bit more into that and maybe going back even further for some context about where we stand right now as a team, as a club. First, going outside of his sample size, back to 2021, I thought it was a fine time to do this. Through 16 games of that season, we were eerily similar to what we are right now. We were on 16 points with 4 wins, 4 draws, and 8 losses. But we had only 13 goals for and 18 against. Of course, right now we're sitting on 19 points with 17 goals for and 23 against. But jumping back into Brad's sample size here, the 30 goals in 30 games number. Look, I don't have much of an answer for 2022. I think, as some have suggested, and we have as well over time, that the book on how to beat Austin down the stretch of last regular season was it was out there, it was written. But we also saw, certain games where, like against Seattle, we rested Seba that game. He came in and played 7 minutes at the end. I think there was some yellow card accumulation, good behavior, get him on the pitch at the end. But that game, he didn't play. Not that I think we should just write off any game that he doesn't play, but that was really the only, if I'm looking for like an excuse, trying to pump up the end of last season, there's not much there outside of that. We pretty much had our full complement of guys during that period. I also think that it's fair enough to say that the playoff run, for me, no matter how we got it done, you won 2 playoff games, you got to the conference finals. Not to say you totally ignore what happened at the end of the regular season, but I don't know. The team was able to pick the momentum back up one way or another and get all the way to the Final Four. So then if we look at just the 2023 portion of this sample size, I think it's fair, right, to look at the difference between the end of last season and our availability on the roster compared to what we all know that we've been struggling with the injury bug this season. And in particular, like the names, it's like all the guys who have been significantly hurt for more than one match are starters.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's not even injury, with Owen out there. I think just in 2023, if I've got this right, and maybe a number's off here or there, if anybody, sees a mistake, do not hesitate to correct me. 8 games missed, I think, by Seba, in terms of all competitions. 11 from Julio, 3 by Leo, and we know that number is going to continue to go up. 5 by Diego. And I think another thing about Diego is that it's not even just the 5 missed games where he totally DNP'd, but it's the minute ceiling that's not there yet. Like 76 is the high mark for him in terms of minutes, and that's a huge difference. This guy was 90. We were shocked when he came off the pitch last year.
Yep, absolutely. And he wasn't setting the world on fire even before that.
Yeah, for sure. And then 9 missed games so far from Owen. Obviously the majority of those are during this congested stretch. I don't remember if he had a DNP or not, kind of earlier in the season, but obviously he didn't. He came off the bench for at least one, I think, at Houston, and maybe one other. But that's 36 games between Driussi, Fagundes, Cascante, Väisänen, and Owen Wolff. That's a lot.
A shitload of games.
So, sorry, go ahead.
And it's forced us to move guys all around.
For sure.
Play people out of position. And it's still 8 minutes.
Yeah.
8 minutes with our preferred starting 11 this entire season.
Yeah.
We're really horse.
What's that?
We're just beating that horse.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's just the reality.
Yeah.
And you also we had the 1 missed game from Sophie Jeffel with the ankle designation. Mm-hmm. Now we have Rado missed a game as well. And that number could also go up. And his importance to this team has gone up over the last couple of weeks, for sure. And this obviously does not carry anywhere near the same weight as those first 5 names that I mentioned. But Kip Keller also, he was in line to play at least. We saw him playing a role to start the year because he was the first center back available off the bench at that time. So the fact that he hasn't appeared since February either is plays a factor in this. So I think all of that to say this, my conclusion, just kind of diving deeper into that sample size. And this is not this isn't fucking rocket science. I think most people who, take a second and try to consider all things here as much as they can would come to the conclusion that I think as a club right now, we are somewhere in the middle between the 2022 team that overachieved a little bit and the 2021 team that was absolute shit. And I still think, with everybody healthy, this team is closer to the 2022 team than the 2021 team. Right now, I think best case scenario, I am pleasantly surprised if we get above the 4th seed at any point this season. I do think that we're going to hover between 4 and 8, and maybe even lower for a week or two if we, a couple results don't go our way and some other teams win, because we mentioned how close we are to the 12 spot right now. But yeah, I'm not super alarmed by that, especially because of what has happened to us this season. Yeah. If our stretch through these first 16 matches plus CCL and Open Cup, if throughout that entire stretch we had injury luck similar to last year, I think I'm much closer to pushing that panic button on holy shit, we have completely regressed back to 2021. Because again, the numbers so far this season, standings wise, are very similar, but the players aren't. And so I still lean towards, as these guys continue to get healthy, we get some rest as a team, that we will continue to see the form more like we've seen over the last 5 matches compared to the season as a whole. Where do you stand on that? Because again, you get a lot of me just talking on this podcast, but that was even more extensive than normal.
That was good. Yeah, I think I'm in lockstep with you. I think what makes people take that sample size and be incredibly frustrated with it is because you see that we're a better team on paper. right now. But then again, you have to take into account all of these injuries to truly impactful players. And, the positivity stuff, we do that. That's great. A lot of people in the fan base do it, and it's great. You're not having blind faith right now. This isn't you just being like, oh yeah, we can turn the switch on and we're good to go. And then,
right. Never lose again.
Back up, and it's like, it's not blind, because all of these things do have to be taken into account when we're looking at the success or failures of this club for the entire 23 season. And then we also have to take into account that we wildly overachieved last year in 22. Sure. And I mean, I don't know about you, but one way you can overachieve as a club is if you have a really good coach who can do stuff that makes players better. But you can't really do all of those things that you want to do when you have the injuries that we've sustained to the players that, they've happened to. And we're not even at the halfway point of the season.
Yeah, well, next weekend.
Yeah, so we'll be there. And I agree. We're going to hover in that very congested range with all these other teams that are also struggling to find their identity. Minnesota getting Reynoso back now. Obviously, teams getting healthier. So we're just jumbled up in this part of the West here. And we're gonna be in that. But I do think the cream is gonna rise to the top. And I think we're gonna be in that 4 to I don't want to be 7, right? You don't want to be 7.
I mean, I don't want to be wherever LAFC ends up.
Yeah.
I still maintain that's the only team I'm legit like we are big underdogs here. Especially in a 3-game set.
I mean, I would be shocked at this point if we do finish higher than 4, because injuries or not, we have lost games at home that needed to be 3 points.
100%.
So I would be shocked if we're higher than 4.
Yeah.
But we got a long ways to go.
Yeah, to get there, right? You're gonna have to pick up games like Seattle on the road.
Yep.
Without your full complement of guys, you're gonna have to squeak out a couple more of those type of results, or maybe better teams coming to Austin. Like if you could, who knows? If you sneak another win past LAFC when they come here late in the season, and look, I'll say I don't think that's impossible, because you look at LAFC. CCL final tonight, by the way, second leg there. They are on 12 league matches played. Some teams have 17. So, like, LAFC's league schedule, I think by that point of the season, we're probably all on equal footing. But I think there's going to be some points throughout the summer, when LAFC's schedule gets way more congested than everybody else's, and maybe they're a little bit vulnerable to some teams that typically they would come in and take care of. So I guess not saying that's going to be Austin, but that's something interesting to watch. Now we're diving more into the MLS side of things. So let's go ahead and move on. Before we get into last business day here, here's a bit of news. Just went final down in Argentina. The US U20s. Owen Wolff did get his 5th start, started every match for the U20 team, but they do bow out at the hands of Uruguay 2-0. So bad news if you're a fan of the U20s, but if you're only a fan of Austin FC, this is great news, because guess who's playing next week? Owen fucking Wolff.
Lobito.
He'll be back, and he'll be ready to go. So I'm excited for that. That's good news.
I am also quite excited for that. Obviously, circumstance, team getting knocked out sucks, but happy for his run there, and like even more so solidifying his name in a world type setting, letting people see the true talent that he has. So that was great, and can't wait to get him back. Can he play center back too?
Well, let's move on to last business day here, because the children, they pre-avenged us. The little pre-avenge. That's right. That's a new one. But taking on Real Monarchs out there at the pitch on Friday. Unfortunately, neither of us able to watch, or able to go. But I know you watched the game. I was out there with some wedding festivities. Takeaways from the lineup. I mean, I think my first one was AOC once again not getting the start. Sebastian Pignot up top, but AOC was back in the team off the bench and available. So whatever that absence was, he was back. And then seeing Kip Keller not only not starting, not in the team. Did you have anything else from that lineup, or was it kind of those two things?
I was more so worried about Valentin, his status, how he was doing. Obviously, seeing the Kip thing, basically was like, well, we're going to have to probably pull him up. There'd be no real other reason to just completely leave him off the team at this point. Right. So that was, a nugget for the future. But, man, with this team's deep, they got dogs all over the field, bro.
Yeah.
Talented players, athletes. Say it all the time. Love this team. And they didn't just pre-event. They beat the shit out of this club.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
And that was the dirtiest club that I've seen in Next Pro. That team was dirty. They were flat out dirty. They had several challenges that were over the top, way too aggressive. One guy ran through David's back, 2-hand shove, boom, like fucking Terry Tate. It was
what a reference.
Office linebacker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he blew his shit up. And I forget what his name was. Nigro, number 91 on their club was, the fans, you could hear him on the stream. They're giving him the business because he was a scumbag.
Yeah.
He was taking some super hard fouls, and he got talked to 3 times.
No card. Well, you know what you say about Next Pro officiating. God, Terry Tate reference. That's a long distance call, Doug. Yeah, you also mentioned Valentin, and we got word a couple hours before the match that he was going to be, after that injury scare against Houston, that he was okay, just a little bit of pain, soreness, going to play through it, and available off the bench. So that was great to see. You also saw, Michael Burton there, our boy Jackson Valti, Cristo Vela. So it didn't take a ton of time for Austin to get on the board. Like you said, they were kind of on the front foot nearly the entire match. But 38th minute, CJ working it down the left side, kind of makes a quick move towards that inline to open up space for the cross. That cross, it gets deflected initially by a Monarchs defender, but kind of falls right to David, and he controls it, and I think takes an extra touch before blasting it into the net. Just cool, calm, collected, and a really good player.
I'm glad you said cool, calm, and collected, because obviously we've highlighted the Shaqiri goal, and now was it Gomez again?
That was Chang that made the pass. Yeah.
Poise. You can be a super talented soccer player, as all of these dudes on FC2 are. That's what gets you to the next level. The poise, being able to settle that ball and then head up, bury it. And the move CJ had, God, RB texted me or Instagram, or no, he posted up a picture of the clip of the goal here.
Yeah.
And I was like, those boys are good.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun watching them at the Q in a couple years.
Yeah. When you see that with CJ, like the maybe somebody who's a little bit more analytical than I would say, he's not ready for MLS level quite yet. But it's those glimpses of his, just the raw athleticism, right? Yeah. That's what gets me so pumped to have this guy in our organization.
Yeah, he moves. You can tell when he moves different. You can see him out there moving. It stands out. Yeah,
we got a couple guys like that.
Yeah.
I mean, David is one of them too, I think.
Absolutely.
Because right after halftime, lazy turnover here by Arias on Monarchs. I think he was 55, I think. He was also the one guy, I think, that did catch a yellow card in the match. But he's trying to pass it back to their keeper, and we've seen this before. Just too slow. David runs onto the loose ball, and Chan, the keeper, is coming out to meet him kind of at the edge of the 18, and just kind of dekes around him. And then David's in on there's a defender back there who kind of tried to stand on the goal line, and again, just sits there, calmly picks out his spot, slots it home, 2-0, brace for Rodriguez. We love to see it. Congrats to him on another huge outing, man.
Absolutely.
67th minute, you see AOC come back in finally. Haven't seen him for a while, so in for Pignot, and then Valentin comes on for CJ. So we love to see Noel get back in there. Then 73rd minute, Cristo Vela comes in for EJ. And EJ was, all those guys were hyped on the post game video they released, but man, he was getting down. He was pumped. Love to see that kind of that energy from those guys.
He a dog.
77th minute. I know the Twitter account said that Damian Loss had a big save, and you mentioned something about it to me. Can you tell me about what happened there? Because that was not a highlight that came out.
It was really strange. A good ball. I don't remember by who.
Yeah, who cares? That team sucks.
Yeah. They did suck. They definitely sucked. Great ball. It's Loss coming out full sprint from I believe it was their striker who was running onto it. I can't tell. It was hard to tell initially, but he either takes a shot that Scott Sterling's off of Loss's face, right? Or he like one of those plays where a keeper comes out, makes the slide, and he takes a boot to the head, a knee, something along the lines. But he tries to stand up, and he like stands up, and he's like looking towards the road at Palmer Field.
Okay.
And then he just straight up falls over top of himself, like a complete full somersault. His legs kick over his head, and he like stands back up, and he's like kind of looking around. I'm like, oh shit, like he's really unconscious right now, like trying to figure out where the fuck he is.
Yeah.
And then he's like, the ref is about to stop it and like go over to him, and he's like, oh, I'm good. And it's Next Pro, so I don't know if they have the same protocols,
right.
But it did not look great. I was very confused because he straight up tripped more than a Wolf hater. Tripped over his damn feet. There you go, Fudge.
Look, man. glad he was able to stay in there. And hopefully avoided the concussion, because I'm sure he was put through the test afterwards, and I guess we'll see this coming Friday.
Kept the clean sheet too.
Take the field again. Yeah, he did. Did you say 3-0?
I thought I did, but it was 2.
Oh, that's right.
2-0. Yeah.
Almost Easterdamus. We'll take the 3-0 though, because 81st minute, Val Noel scores. Just kind of great build up. Again, there was not a ton of pressure on Noel there, but he did just put it home so cleanly.
Oh yeah.
And the blowout was on there.
You saw the dummy before, right?
Yeah. Yes. And who I forget who that was.
I can't remember
here right now. We did get a sub 2 minutes later. I think a double sub here. We see Steve come in. Louis Jean comes in for Bobo.
Yep.
I don't know when Bobo is taking off for the Ugandan team, but that may be the last time we see him for a few weeks. I have the that was AOC on the dummy there.
Awesome.
Great play by him too.
Yeah.
And Bobo making the run near side. That's good soccer.
Yeah. That's good soccer.
So Steve comes in for Bobo, Valti in for Ramirez, and those guys see it out 3-0. So look, we said on the Wednesday episode, like it's time for these guys to beat a team that they're supposed to beat after a couple tough results, playing a string of more talented teams. And they responded in a big way, man. And you could tell from the post-game video that they put out, they were talking about it. Of course, they knew. Still third place out west. Love to see it. And we will have the preview on Wednesday's episode, Whitecaps 2 coming to town on Friday, 8 p.m. Central. So, we're going to try to get out there as we always do, especially with no home match at Q2 for 2.5 weeks here. So it's time to be at the pitch, folks. But that's gonna wrap it up here on episode 61 of the North End podcast. You thought we were going to have maybe a shorter episode with no games to preview on this one, no bets to make, but no, we just keep running our mouths. So we're going to do that again on Wednesday. We'll be back on Wednesday to talk the SKC preview. Might have a little guest. on Wednesday, which should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
SKC. You can probably put in a guess on who that might be. We'll preview that match. We'll preview the Whitecaps 2 match. We'll, all the nonsense, best ball update, picks. Oh my God, some of those fucking picks yesterday, man. Just absolutely brutal. And I think we'll have some other nonsense as well. Maybe fill out an all-star ballot, something like that. It's going to be a fun midweek episode, without a game to recap. Plenty of time for the nonsense. So if you have stuck with us through another almost 90-minute edition of the North End, we appreciate you. We love you. And if you've got 5 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you're watching on the North End YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Help us grow the channel. You can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this video, hit that thumbs up, like the episode, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords. Atone for your sins. Wash yourselves clean in the confetti of both ends. We will be back on Wednesday. You like that one? Man, as interrupting the outro here, as we sometimes do. When we scored in the 92nd last night, I had that big-ass bag of confetti. I hate stale confetti. So I'm like, all right,
who doesn't?
Eject button of all of it. The fucking looks that I got from people. Where is this shit coming from?
It's getting sucked up into the tubas.
Yeah. You could see a little bit of on the broadcast. That was fun.
Yeah.
So little confetti contribution there to the South End. So, all right, everybody, that'll do it. We appreciate you listening. We will see you all on Wednesday. Try to enjoy the beginning of your week. Hey, 9 points from the last 5 matches. If you would have said that before then, we would have felt okay about ourselves. So let's feel okay about ourselves going into the midweek. We'll build ourselves up towards Saturday and get this fucking win going into the halfway point of the season. Until then, he's E. I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.